Welcome back to Country, folks. It's another beautiful day here on the 100-acre wood. I've been here for a little over a month this trip, running solo still, and feels like I haven't accomplished anything. It's like every job I get started on, we run into problems. So of course, I've said many times that not really much I can do on the building by myself, so that continues to stand still. I started working on the road. Of course, the dump truck broke down, and then we had a storm that tore up a bunch of our work. And I've just been trying to do various projects, and it seems every time I get started on a project, I run into a problem. Either I need a tool, or I have to build a tool, or I need a part or something. It just, man, it's like the powers of nature are trying to prevent me from making progress. I need my good luck charm Lorena back with me so she can bring some positive energy back to this place. Anyway, let me show you what I got going on. So this dump truck is a 1999 International 4700. It's got the T444E diesel engine in it, which is basically a 7.3, and it's the same engine that they run in the Fords, the Power Stroke. And it's a really good engine. Now this is the original, and up front here where you can see it's kind of some things taken apart, that's the water pump. So this right here is the water pump. Here's the pulley, and then of course it's got another pulley. The main pump shaft is where the fan attaches to there. The problem is that there's a shaft that comes out of there, and you can see the nut on the front there. Trying to point it out right there. And so that big nut basically has to unscrew to take this piece here, which is the fan clutch, and the fan attaches to the back of that. So you've got to unscrew that. Now that's the original, so it hadn't been removed in theory since 1999. And in order to do that, you've got to, number one, be able to hold that thing still. So I tried to do it before I removed the serpentine belt, and nah, it wouldn't hold it tight enough to get enough force on to break that thing free. And yeah, I don't have any tools, special tools to do it. So that nut is 1 7/8 inches, so of course I've got a 2-inch wrench and bigger, but I don't have I've got a gap in there between the 1.5 inches up to the 2-inch, so I don't have an 1 7/8 inches wrench. But I do have some giant crescent wrenches, and I got a crescent wrench on it and tried everything and could not break it free. The biggest problem is holding that pulley steady. So I got online and I started looking at various tools, and yeah, there's some different tools out there to kind of hold it. I didn't see anything great, so what I'm gonna do is this pulley right here, you can see there's these bolts, and those bolts just hold this pulley on to the main shaft, and then this screws on to the center, so it's threaded on the inside. And this is what I have to get off in order to remove this whole thing. So I've got to be able to hold this pulley steady where there's really no way to get grips on it. So what I'm going to do is I've got some long bar, flat bar. I'm going to drill some holes in it, take these bolts out, cut a little bit of the side out so it'll fit around this shaft, and then drill some holes so that I can screw these back on and put a bar on that and lock, and then bring the bar out to the outside, and that should hold it steady while I am able to get a wrench on there and get that off. Now the other problem we have is breaking it free. So because it's been on there so long, I don't want to heat it, because if I heat it up, it's going to ruin that clutch, and then I'll have to buy a new clutch, which is over $100. So that's like my absolute last resort. My intent is to figure out how to break it free. Well, looking again online at various options, I did find a tool for it, and the tool basically works with it's got a wrench that you put on the nut, and then it's got a long like pole that comes out of that with an attachment that goes into an air chisel. And then you put that air chisel on there, and you basically put pressure on it, and it hammers it with impacts, so kind of like an impact wrench. But normally an impact wrench runs a socket, and of course you can't get a socket on this, and there wouldn't be room to get it on there anyway unless you had a 90-degree impact, which still can't do it because you can't put a socket on that. You can only put an open end wrench on there. So anyway, it's an open end with a bar that comes out. So I ordered the new water pump and stuff from O'Reilly Auto Parts. They had good prices, same as what I could find various places. So I ordered that, had it delivered local, went and picked it up. And I also ordered that tool, but the tool they had was $181, and I got to looking around and found the exact same thing for $40 on Amazon. So yeah, when I went to pick everything up in the order, I did not take the tools. I went ahead and canceled that, and I ordered from Amazon. So that should be here today or tomorrow, and we'll see if we can't get that put together. Hopefully we'll get the tool built today to hold it. If we can lock that in place and then get that wrench on there and break it free with the impact style, then hopefully that'll solve our problem. Then we can go ahead and finish taking this water pump off and put the new one on and get her back together. So needless to say, this thing's been just sitting for a few days because I can't work on it. Another thing I need to work on is this four-wheeler. So it runs and everything. It's an old two-stroke, and I mean, it goes pretty good, but it's drinking gas like crazy, which tells me there's a problem in the carburetor. Probably the float is bad or something like that, and it's not shutting off. That's my assumption. But I don't want to tear it all apart and everything, because once I tear it apart, I can't use it at all, and sometimes I need it. And so I got to looking. My options were rebuild the carburetor, but you know, I found a aftermarket carburetor for about $10 more than a rebuild kit. So I just went ahead and ordered a whole new carburetor for it. So that's on order. I'm not going to mess with it until I have the carburetor in hand, so hopefully I can minimize the time that I got it tore down. And I got some problems with the telehandler. So the telehandler runs great, starts right up, does what it's supposed to do. Unfortunately, my pedals have started sticking. So first off, the brake pedal, if you push it down, it sticks, and it does not come back up until I put a screwdriver in here and pop it up. So what has happened is there's a boot here, and this boot has worn out, and it's probably got sand and crap in it. I've tried spraying oil and everything trying to clean it, but it just won't free up and move freely, no matter how much I oil it and move it back and forth, whatever. So I had to order a rebuild kit. It's got a new boot in it, new seals and everything. So basically the whole brake cylinder's got to be rebuilt. So I ordered that. It also is headed to the house, so when Lorena comes next time, she'll bring that. And then I got another problem with the throttle. It's sticking. So you can pull it up with your foot, but it won't move freely. So that's a problem. I'm guessing the throttle cable also has gotten sand or whatever in it, and it's now sticking. So I mean, that's a huge safety issue. I can't even drive it like that, because if that throttle sticks and you know, you crash into something or whatever, that could be a disaster. So I've got to work on that. Now I'm also still working on the beast, as I call it, which is the big 21-yard earth mover or scraper. The hydraulic elevator motor is still ripped apart on that one. It's been taken apart for quite a while now. I started to rebuild that yesterday, and I've got to put a new bearing on it, and of course I need a press to do that, and the press that I've got is too small, and I can't fit it in there. So I've got to extend that. So I need to buy some steel, and I'm just basically going to take the press that I've got and make it taller, rather than go buy a whole new press, a bigger press, whatever. I eventually want a bigger press, but that's kind of something for when I have a bigger shop or my shop is complete. And right now it's not, so if I go buy one, it's just something else I got to squeeze into storage, and I'm already tight on space as far as trying to put stuff in my container and still be able to move around and work and everything else. It's kind of getting tough, and it's getting messy, and it needs to be organized, and I've just been hanging on for the shop to be completed so I can do everything in there. So yeah, that's another project. So another thing I'm getting ready to do here in a few minutes is go down and work on the compactor. I'm just still learning that thing, and it's got all kind of switches and everything, and I can never remember what any of them are because they don't have labels or symbols or anything on them anymore. They're just wore out. Everything's wore off, I mean. So anyway, I got a label maker. I'm going to go down there with the manual and put some labels on stuff, and hopefully that's going to help me to figure out some other little issues I got with it, and at least move forward and getting better at the operation and use of that machine. So that's another project. Yesterday I fueled up the big excavator. I put over 40 gallons into it and topped that off, so it's got a full tank of diesel on it. Of course, not much digging to do without the dump truck, but that's all good. And it's been raining. Even after we had that big giant storm, we're still getting little rain showers, thunderstorms passing through. Seems almost every day or every other day. Today it's supposed to be clear, and then I think tomorrow we got a chance of thunderstorm again. So that makes things a little bit challenging. And you know, then just regular maintenance, oil changes on generators and things of that nature. So, you know, little by little I'm like staying busy, but I just don't feel like I'm actually getting anything done. So hopefully that changes soon as we start to get some tools and parts, and maybe we can start moving forward again. The ground's still pretty damp. It's not wet, it's not muddy, it's just damp. So if I had everything running, I probably could do a little bit of work. But yeah, cross that bridge when we get to it. Who knows, maybe we'll jump on the dozer and clean up that road down on the bottom a little bit, at least get it closer to repaired, and hopefully we don't get a big rainstorm that wipes it out again. Anyway, that's where we're at. Stick with us. Let's see how it goes. All right, I actually completed something. Not a big task, but a helpful task. So I was able to label all these switches, and now I have a better understanding of what does what and how these things work together. For example, if you want to run the vibration on this thing, a whole bunch of switches have to be in exactly the correct position or it won't work.
So for example, this switch right here, manual drum vibration, well, manual, it's drum vibration selector switch. So right now it's in the manual position. If I switch it up, it's in the automatic position. And basically that, if it's in automatic, when you start driving and turn on the drum vibrator, it is supposedly at about 1.5 miles per hour it'll kick in and start running if everything else is in the correct position. If you leave it on manual, then you just push the button and it comes on, which just seems easier to me. Drum selector, front drum, both drums, back drum. So that's good to know. Right now I got it on both drums. And then eccentric direction, that's the direction in which the vibration eccentric is turning. So I don't know, up, down, I imagine it's clockwise, counterclockwise, hopefully, meaning, well, that doesn't even make sense. I just leave it in auto mode because for this to work properly, you're supposed to run it counterclockwise when moving forward, clockwise when moving in reverse. I don't know which is which, and trying to remember to change it whenever you back up or whatever if you're running. Easier just to leave it in auto, and then it automatically switches based on the direction you're going. So we're in auto there. This is a test switch for the parking brake, and over here on the other side I already knew what two of these did. So this is your well, this is your parking brake, this is your they got it labeled as idle and rev. So basically it's an automatic throttle. So when you're just idling, just sitting here, you can idle and then you flip it up, push it up to rev it up to run. And then this is your travel speed, and this is important because when you're compacting, you got to have it in low speed, and if you want to run to a different location or whatever, you can switch it into high speed. So basically that's like a high and low gear on your transmission. So key is, if it's in high speed, the vibration drum won't run. So if you try to turn on vibrations and it happens to be in high speed, which if you control the speed with the hand throttle, your propulsion selector going forward or reverse, you wouldn't even know whether it's in high or low travel speed unless you like floored it, if you don't push the travel speed all the way. So this handle right here is your travel speed, stop, forward, reverse, and the further you push it forward, the faster it goes. So it's kind of a throttle and speed, or I mean direction, all in one. So, you know, if you just go a little bit and you start moving forward and everything, you may not even notice that your travel speed is set to fast or high gear. So that's good to know that switch is there, and now I've put it in low gear, and that also will affect, you know, your compactor, your vibration. Now it compacts, I mean, this is almost a 30,000 pound machine, so you get compaction just by driving it, period. But if you want more compaction, it's got vibration in it, basically creates hammer force and gives it more compaction. So if everything isn't set right, that vibration won't work. And so basically you push this button here to turn on your vibration, push it again to turn it off. But if all your switches and everything aren't set correctly, then guess what? It doesn't work. So I thought it was broken. I never could get it to work. And then the other day I was messing around and I hit the button and it came on, and I went, whoa, wait a minute, it's working. So now that I've got all my switches figured out and everything, I tested it and it works just fine. So good to know. Of course, you can see there at the mud, I tried to drive forward and I just started slipping. So these things aren't made for traction. The drums, of course, are slick. So you get in the mud, it just slips, and that's what it did. So, but it did tell me that my ground is still pretty wet, wetter than I thought. which means I'm not going to move anything with the bulldozer. Needs to dry up more. So anyway, that's another project done and a good result, so happy with that. Okay, here's another successful project done. So this is the telehandler. The throttle was sticking, basically the cable wasn't returning, so this is a throttle cable here, and I built this bracket right here. Just took a piece of scrap steel, cut it, drilled some holes, hooked the spring to this end, and then I built another bracket right here, another piece of scrap steel, and drilled a hole there, a couple holes there, hooked the spring to it. It's got a lot of tension on it, and that is enough to fix the problem. So another problem solved, and I don't know, I guess you could call that my invention, my fabrication, whatever. I mean, throttle springs are nothing new, but it's new to this machine, so that's how we do it. And here it is functioning. It's harder to push now, but that's okay. It won't stick, so it ain't a danger.